Hello there and welcome. Today is day 3 of the 5-day challenge to kickstart some healthy habits. So we talked a little bit about boundaries yesterday, and I talked into how sometimes it's really difficult to hold boundaries, or how I have struggled with them and how I've seen other people struggle with them. And for boundaries, sometimes being able to hold firm to those boundaries takes a little bit of a shift in your mindset and in the way you're thinking about yourself and that thing in which you're creating the boundary around. And so I just want to speak into that a little bit today. This is something that I really dive into when I'm coaching people and taking them through the Happy Heart Method. And I just want to share a little bit with you. Okay, so with mindset, there is a lot underneath this umbrella. But the way that I like to look at it is I like to look at it as getting your mindset all aligned is kind of like having a compass, right? In your body, we have, I like to consider it 3 brains. You have one in your mind, you have one in your heart, and then you have one in your gut. Right? The gut is kind of like this enteric nervous system. It's older and more adept in some ways than your brain. That gut feeling, that emotional response, that is strong and that is powerful. And that actually sends impulses to your brain to tell your brain what to do. Or your brain then decides what to do, right? A couple of things. It can immediately trigger that fight or flight method, or it could just be like, I don't think we should go there, or I really feel like we need to go right. So there are a lot of ways that those gut instincts, that emotional response, that intuition, as some people like to refer to it as, that is a really powerful tool that we need to tap into. Because it sends a lot of information to our brain, which causes us to take action. So it's very valid to make sure that we're in tune with that and kind of, lining up our choices with how some of that intuition and feelings sit in our body. The other part is, so our heart, right? Our heart is really where I believe that we connect to, connect to God, your higher power, your higher self, the universe, whatever word you use for the omnipresent essence of life, right? Whatever that is for you, I really feel like that knowledge, that hearing, the guidance comes right into your heart. And I feel like that's where you feel it. I feel like that's where your purpose in life is birthed from. I feel like there's so much that happens in your heart. It's a huge magnetic force in your body. I mean, it does so much for you. And again, your heart has so much wisdom in it, right? So then the last one is your brain. Your brain can be very logical. Your brain stores a lot of emotion and memory and automatic responses. And that is very powerful. I mean, we don't have to think about breathing. We don't have to think about having our heart beat. We don't have to think about digesting our food. It just happens. And then we have the power in our mind to, pick up the glass of water or to eat. So there is a lot with that we can have control over, and then there's a lot that we don't have control over. And the powerful part of the brain is that it has those automatic responses. Again, good, bad, maybe, or positive and negative, however you want to look at it. Like sometimes those automatic responses are so quick, we don't even have time to think about it. It's autopilot, right? That is where we get stuck sometimes in the automatic, this is how I do it, this is the way it always is, there's no getting out of it, like it's just that way. And when we start to deviate and start to make choices that are going against the grain of autopilot, our brain is kind of like, whoa, stop, what? We can't do that. We can't make those variations and deviations. That's not normal. And so we're going against our norm when we step outside of our comfort zone, when we make new declarations of how we're going to be living our life and what we're choosing to do. And so I really feel like it's so important to acknowledge all three pieces of our brain, all three of our brains, and get them all into a succinct alignment. Because when we are in that succinct alignment with our mind, our heart, and our emotions, it's kind of like body, mind, and spirit all settled into one solid place. And when you can kind of have that solid place of knowing, you are deeply grounded in what is true for you. When you're so deeply grounded in what is true for you, decision making becomes easier. There's not a lot of questioning. There's not a lot of doubting. When you really are solid with your three brains, your compass is set, and you know true north for you, decision making is a little bit clearer. Because you understand if something is not in alignment with your heart, but logically, you're a little bit at war, right? If your mind is saying logically this all works out, but your heart is saying we need to do this other thing. Your emotions are torn and you're kind of in this limbo and you hesitate and you second guess and you don't know what to do, and so you don't sometimes make a decision. It's very common. I've done that many times. I've seen other people do it a lot. If there's indecision, we just say no. We just don't do it. We just wait until it's all perfect. And that doesn't ever really show up. So if we can go ahead and get into full alignment, when we start deviating from that path of what has been our norm and our comfort zone, and we are choosing to make new healthy habits that are positive, different, but positive, if we're all aligned, then we can reinforce to ourselves continuously why it's right that we're deviating from autopilot. It shifts the mind quite a bit, and no longer do you need to just force yourself to think positively. No longer do you need to just constantly, repeat mantras and things, because there's just that deep, solid knowing that it's right. You'll still fight some of that pull back to get to autopilot, but you just keep staying true north, and your brain, those autopilot, deeply ingrained neural pathways will change. It just takes time. So today, we're gonna go ahead and I challenge you to just write down on paper. I love writing things down. It's a great way to just kind of check in with yourself, see what's going on, and then you can reference back to it in a month and see if it's still true, or if something has changed and no longer is that the case. So take some time and just write down, with those boundaries that you're wanting to create, right? We're gonna kind of like keep building, right? So going back to those boundaries that you want to create, and that area of your life that you're trying to kickstart these healthy habits, look at that and see where your gut instinct is. Where is that in alignment with, what you want to be moving towards? Listening to your heart. What is your heart telling you about that new path that you want to be taking, or those boundaries? And then listen to your mind and the logic. What's there? What do all three of those brains in your body share with helping you support and enforce those boundaries, right? So this part is it's difficult because there's no right or wrong. In any of this that we've been doing, there is no right or wrong. It's just what is your experience. But this way, you really need to kind of start listening to yourself, right? So I did an exercise that I sent out a while back about checking in with your body, doing a body scan, right? Sitting with your feet flat on the floor, your back against the chair, relaxing your breathing, and scanning up from your toes to your knees, to your hips, all the way up your spine, your shoulders, your head and scalp. So if you can do that, and you just take a while, a few minutes to just relax and do that, and then you can ask each one of those brains, what do they have to share with you about that topic, right? About those boundaries. What really is essential to hold priority for that area of your life? What do you really need? What are you afraid of if you say yes to your boundaries and no to other things, right? Getting clear about that, the underlying issue beneath the fears or anxieties, that's really what's going to give you some freedom, you know, in your choices, and really give you freedom to shift your mindset. So like I said, this topic and getting these three brains aligned is big work. It's way more than we can do in just the 5 days. I mean, I could probably do a whole series on just 5 days of getting in alignment. And if you have more questions or something about this wasn't clear, let me know. Email me, post it in the Facebook group. I'm happy to go into more depth. Like I said, this is something that I do a very big and in-depth training with my coaching clients, and it's really important work. I feel like this is kind of like a foundational piece for everything else that starts happening, you know, with healthy habits, with choosing to be good to yourself, to love yourself, and just kind of love your life. And it's vital. So if you need more information, I am more than happy to give you more. But for today, for part of the challenge, I want you to kind of see where your three brains are at, where they agree, where they disagree, and then how it's all relating to that one area of your life that you're picking to work on for this week. So thank you for joining me today, and I so look forward to seeing you all again soon. All right, take care. Bye.